Hi guys. Yeah, so let's get started. We only have 1 hour max, so I want to make the most of our time together. As you know, we have a very special guest today, Barbara Rahal. And before I get started, I want to share a little bit how we met because I think it's an interesting story, and that's the reason why I invited Barbara to be here today. I shared this on my stories recently, but I know not all of you watch that, so it's going to be short and sweet. So Barbara and I, we met at a focus group out of all places. And when we left the focus group, we both got the subway and we started chatting. We were both from South America, and I asked what she was doing for a living. And she mentioned she was a photographer, but she was still trying to grow her business in Canada and haven't really found out the right spot for her yet. So from there, we met a few times, and I saw she was kind of trying to make it work. Then she moved to Edmonton, and we lost touch, and I was still following her on social media. And then with time, I started seeing she was doing really well. She was getting nominations for awards, winning awards. She was being published on big magazines and traveling the world to show her photography. So I thought that was all really cool. And I thought it would be amazing to have her story here and share what happened, how she went through all of this. And obviously there is all her talent as well because her photos are amazing. So it's not just marketing strategies and luck, but she's really great. Yeah, so let's get started. Barbara, if you can send me the request to join. Hi, Louisa. Let me wave at you guys. Oh, my father is here too. um, be here soon. Guys, if the audio is not great, let me know. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I chose a spot with a little bit of a plant just for you because I know you love plants.
My plants.
Yes, I love your background. Oh, so pretty.
This is my cute corner, so I have to sit here.
Yes, love it. How are you?
I'm good. It's warm today, so I'm actually really happy because it has been a little bit of a cold still here in Edmonton. So it's
Yeah.
super nice today. I've been out a lot, but well, I've been attached to the computer, but with the walks with the dogs, it's been really nice. So I'm good. I'm nervous. I always get nervous when I have to talk.
I know it's like public speaking, but through camera and no one there.
Yeah, so you
Yeah,
ask and I answer.
for sure. It'll be just like a conversation, and yeah, no one's watching, right? Yeah, so before we get started, so you heard like I was telling the story, how we met,
Yes.
and what happened?
Well,
What happened
before
that,
after we met.
yeah, to be where you are today? Can you tell a little bit like how you started your photograph practice and then you moved to Canada and how you made that work for you in Canada?
Okay, it's a bit of a long story, so I'm gonna summarize it a little bit. I've been in the photography industry for about 25 years. I'm 46 years old. 46 years young. I
Looking great.
Right. I started with photography in high school, and I really liked it with a very old camera, and everything was filmed back then. I learned by kind of doing and by cleaning other studios and offering, assisting. I never had the money to study photography, but it was truly what I loved. So later on, I started doing trades for magazines. I would trade to do pictures for them, and then they will give me vouchers to go to restaurants. I started shooting rock concerts, just the first song, and then I will get to listen to the concert. And slowly, like that, I started being assistant of more known photographers, and I was able to learn more that way too. And one day, I decided that I wanted to move out of Chile. I wanted to study cinematography, and I went. I investigated a little bit. I wanted to go to Cuba, then I wanted to go to Europe. I ended up in Germany. after a little bit of research. And after visiting Cuba, I decided that I wanted to.
That you went to Cuba and Germany. That's cool.
So then I went to Germany and I did a little bit of I studied German and everything because I couldn't get into the school. My German wasn't good. So I couldn't get into the cinematography school. But I started working as an assistant photographer for Jürgen Hassenkopf, who was he still is a tennis photographer. There's not many tennis photographers left. And with him, I worked for almost 5 years. So I did photography in Europe for about 5 years. And then when I decided to go home to Chile, after those 4.5, 5 years, I started working with a group of photographers that I had worked before. We founded a studio. We were 8, 1 designer and 7 photographers, and we all did different things. At that time, I did commercial photography. And after a little bit, I kind of got tired of the Chilean mentality, and I decided from one day to another, I need to sell everything, and I need to go back and travel, go back to Europe. I need to do something different. People were not very professional in Chile if they say I come at 12 o'clock and then they show up at 1. And
yes, Brazilian time.
oh
We
yeah,
say.
American time. Or they say, yes, I'm going to pay you in 30 days. Then the check comes in 90 days. So after living 4.5 years in Germany with that regimen and everything being so, strict, and if you're 5 minutes late, you're fired. So I learned lots of professional manners and how to be, although I was very young, I learned how to be on time, how to be professional, how to be always, following what you're told. And I got to Chile and everything was a mess. Sorry, Chile. This is back then, must be better now. So the mentality wasn't working with me, and I decided from one day to another, I need to leave. So I sold everything. I did like an auction. I didn't have much, but I did like with friends, and I sold everything, and I just decided that I wanted to do and travel again. And hiking with a friend who was a lawyer and a photographer, he said to me, he was reading the newspaper, and he said to me, "This is your next job." And it was advertising for cruise lines. They were searching for photographers. And I said, "Oh, but that's McDonald's of photography. I don't know if I'm going to like it." He's like, "Well, you can travel and do photography." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So fair enough. I fill in all the information and I passed the first few interviews. That was really cool. And then to the second interview, they had to fly you to Miami. But before flying me to Miami, because it was kind of serious, you had to pay still. The guy who was going to hire me, he said, "But you're not going to like this. You're a photographer. This is McDonald's. Like, we're going to teach you how to shoot in 3 minutes, all these poses, and you have to do that. There's no creativity, no nothing." And I was like, "No, I don't care. I want to wake up every day somewhere new." And that's it. I did that for 6.5 years.
Wow.
That's
a long time.
Yeah, I kind of got there into weddings after shooting sports in Germany. I don't know if I said that. Yeah, I think I said Jürgen was a hockey and tennis photographer. So I got into weddings and portraits more in depth. I learned how to shoot fast, and I learned how to pose fast. And I learned the American way of shooting weddings. After 6.5 years on ships, I decided that it was time to settle down. I went back to Chile, but I had a Canadian boyfriend, Simon, my actual husband. So after being 3 months in Chile, and we were still talking and, exchanging emails, he's like, "You need to come visit me to Canada." And I went to Vancouver 2007, and I never left.
Yes, same here. Same here. Came 2008. Was supposed to go back.
Yeah.
Never really did.
So that's how I landed in Canada, but I was super lost when it comes to photography. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I think we met in 2009. I can't remember, on that focus group. But yeah, I was starting here to do everything and anything. And I met a photographer who did ice hockey tournaments for kids. And I was shooting, and he will print on site what we were shooting and sell. And that was getting me by. And while I was doing this, somewhat connected me with the German planner, a German wedding planner, Heidi, who has Canadian Outdoor Weddings, a little sponsorship there. She brings to Vancouver Canadian tourists, German tourists that they're kind of eloping, people from Europe in general, but mostly Germans that are eloping in Vancouver. And she will prepare everything.
Some people don't know what eloping means. So if you can just explain that.
Yes.
It's just like a very small wedding ceremony, usually just the couple.
Yeah, so Heidi was preparing a very intimate ceremony, just the couple, and she was officiating and I was the photographer. And we had just 3 hours. The couple will choose if they wanted to get married in Gross Mountain or around Stanley Park in one of the beaches, and we will do the ceremony and then do some portraits, and that was it. Super simple. That's an elopement. Nobody else but the couple. Sometimes there was 1 or 2 people as if they had friends in Vancouver, that they were like their guest. It was really cute. So we were doing that, and that's when I was like, oh, I do love weddings. After shooting weddings on ships, I don't know if I mentioned that I was shooting weddings on ships too.
You did, but you did tell me before when we talked before today, how you didn't like shooting Chilean weddings, like because the production was completely different. Everything was like very big and glamorous, and the standards and what they wanted you to do. Like it wasn't something you enjoyed, but that you actually did enjoy the American way of like shorter, sweeter, and just, yes, you can tell more about that. But you mentioned like you liked it more.
Yeah, I enjoy shooting the weddings short and sweet, and that's how, when I was doing these weddings with Heidi and these German couples, I realized maybe I should be doing this here. And I started advertising first, obviously, on Craigslist because I didn't know anything. So I was starting to advertise on Craigslist to see. At first I was investigating, and then I realized, yes, there are people advertising on Craigslist. But rapidly I noticed that the people who was advertising on Craigslist were mostly new photographers, and the pricing was very, very low. And I didn't want to be starting from very, very low. I knew I was okay, and I knew I was a good photographer, and I'm friendly and professional. So I put my prices a little bit higher, even though it was Craigslist. You could still pay advertising, but I didn't do it in the beginning. Then I started investigating what was the wedding scene and marketing in Vancouver, and there were a couple of sites called Wed Over Heels, that doesn't exist anymore, sadly, and another one called Wedding Fool. And I started advertising with them. It wasn't expensive. It was $67 at first. Then it was $97. And as I had a few more weddings bookings and I had better images around Vancouver, I started showing more on their sites. Then I entered Wedding Wire. And slowly, getting into the community, trying to meet other photographers. And during all this, a friend of my husband introduced me to Roxana Bussell, who is a wonderful photographer in Vancouver. Back then, she was also starting. She was also a little bit like, investigating all the scenes. So together we learned a lot. I think I could have mentored her a little bit because I was an older photographer, but we together discover on how to market things and how to invest. That was
I love how you right away got into these very specific websites that are very niche. Because today people think about like advertising, automatically social media, it's Instagram and Facebook, which back then we didn't really have that social media presence, and like Facebook was just starting. I don't even know if ads were available on Facebook at that time. But having like thinking about ads on niche websites is definitely like it.
I knew I wanted to. I was very lost. I didn't know who my ideal client was. I just wanted to shoot weddings, but I knew that I wanted to shoot pretty weddings, and to get those pretty weddings, I had to be where the brides that are, caring for those details, or not being overly the top, but where were those brides? And I started searching for them on those places. And luckily I did find a few. And slowly I started learning where to put the investment. I got out of some of those directories and I started others. Then I invested in the Knot, Wedding Wire. You had to kind of learn, and I didn't know anything. So I really had to put a little bit here, put a little bit there, and then to some money out, not all the eggs in one basket. I had to check all the channels. And once I learned which ones worked for me, yeah, it was fantastic. Yeah, back then there was not much social media. I wish I would become social.
Yes, and at that time you were just investing out of your pocket. Like you're just getting your money, personal money, and just like, okay, I'm gonna try this. Let's see what works.
Yeah, everything out of the pocket, because anything that I did with the weddings, it was mostly reinvested in the business back then. Obviously, I paid myself a little, but not that much. And yeah, it was a hard start. I did invest it a lot from my pocket, but it paid off. It was pretty good.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Meeting other photographers was great because then you needed second shooters, and I started to investigate then on Facebook, the groups, and kind of getting to know people there. That was neat.
Yeah, and one thing that you mentioned about looking for, I love when you said like, oh, I want to shoot beautiful weddings. So I don't want to settle for any wedding and just get paid for a wedding. I want to shoot beautiful weddings. So I love how you went after a very specific target audience that also not only they're going to have more budgets to pay you, because they want to also have good memories, right? Like if they want to do something that it's a little bit more crafted and with a nicer decoration, of course, their budget is going to be a bit larger as well. So I love that you also knew clearly your target and where to find them. So you look for the publications and websites that these people are going to be using.
Yeah, that was the biggest challenge at first, how to get those brides. But that was, I love styling things, and I love when people do style things. So I needed to get there. I needed to investigate. Like myself, I'm not like overly a style person, but I do like people who add that little touch. So finding those people was the hardest part, learning who my target market was. So I had to kind of investigate. But yeah, when I finally did find who my ideal client was and where those pretty weddings were, yeah, that was happiness.
Yeah. So you were starting to kind of establish yourself in Vancouver. And when you're kind of getting the hang of it, then you had to move to Edmonton.
Yeah. So all that learning curve was about 2 to 3 years, I will say, and all that investment, and finally getting the return on referrals, and finally getting all that investment back and better weddings. Suddenly we had to move to Edmonton because my husband had a very good opportunity, a career move, and obviously as a photographer I can shoot anywhere. And I thought, well, this can actually be good. I don't know, but let's move everything to Edmonton. We had to move rather rapidly. But instead of moving all scared, oh my God, nobody knows me there, I started investing in Google advertising and in SEO. And I started learning a little bit of SEO so I could quickly kind of show up very established coming from Vancouver. That was again a learning curve, but as soon as I moved to Edmonton and I started doing all this work, I also joined all the Facebook groups, because then Edmonton had, that was 2012, 2013 that I moved here. Facebook and groups were kind of booming, and I joined all the Edmonton groups. Well, there were 3. So I could meet other photographers. And within 6 months of moving, I had my first summer sold out. Well, sold out 12 weddings. For me, that was woo! And I was very, very happy. Some really cute weddings, some smaller but very styled weddings, very stylized weddings. So having those images, I started realizing, well, I have some really nice work. Um, I want to see how I am comparing with my peers. So I started submitting to magazines more, and I started submitting to competitions because I wanted to see what my level really was. Although in my head, it's like, I know I'm good, but let's see, is this what the Canadian brides, is this what the Canadian people are looking for, And luckily, I did place, not a lot, but sometimes I did a lot. I started getting more publications here. Very, very soon, I started looking for the publications on the local magazines, Bridal Fantasy and Blush. They're two really nice magazines. Nowadays, there's a third local Alberta magazine, Confetti. And I started submitting to those two magazines, Bridal Fantasy and Blush. And luckily, the weddings were being accepted. And so I was getting out to the brides here. Yeah.
That's amazing. And that's something else that I find interesting and unique because look at the circle I'm in and all the small business owners that I'm surrounded with. Very few people think about these opportunities, about PR opportunities to show themselves on publications and other websites and just submitting their work. Definitely for photographers, there is a different kind of niche for that, but it's something that I think it's a good tip for people to think about.
Yeah, like I was very scared of coming to Edmonton and nobody knowing me, and all my images were Vancouver. So as soon as I had some Edmonton weddings and people will see the landscape, I updated the website and I started submitting to those key places that I knew brides will be looking at, and it's like, okay, oh, I like this wedding. Who's the photographer? Barbara Rahal. So you had to look, I had to be very conscious of how am I going to get the brides. Because advertising on a page like a Gigi, yes, you might get brides, but I was still coming from that Vancouver scene that is very stylized and pretty. And I wanted that here. It took, I think, maybe 2 years to be a little bit more, to get the name out a little bit more, but at least I was being published. And I was very happy. That was a success to me. I know success to everyone sounds different, but I had that goal. So I did mind mapping. Okay, if I want to be in this magazine, what kind of wedding do I need? And I was trying to search for that. Then I was looking at the different local contests, not local, but the Canadian wedding contest. Okay, what kind of images is the ones that they are showing? So everything is kind of figure outable.
I love that. Yeah. It's like working backwards.
Yeah, you look for what they're looking for, and it's very logic. And how do I do this? Okay, people are doing this, and not everything worked. This obviously we're having a conversation of what did work, but lots of things didn't work. So I wasn't letting that getting me down. I kept on trying and trying, and it just the only way for me. We are from South America, so I think we're a little bit more of doers and fighters, and not in a fight way, but
Oh yeah, definitely.
Even though I had no friends here, I would just go and introduce me in these groups, and sometimes I would be in a corner, but hey, I'm Barbara. And then when people slowly started, oh, you're Barb, and I'm like, yes.
Like how we met.
Yeah.
It's like who goes to a focus group and then become friends? Because actually, I've never met anyone else in a focus group. You're the only one.
I'm not gonna ask you how many more did you attend.
I attended a couple more. Yeah. I actually like being a marketing person. I love being part of someone else's marketing process. So I love to give my opinion, and I'm very opinionated. I have a lot of opinions to give. So I like sharing that.
That's good for marketing.
Yeah. So just like a recap, because we talked about so many amazing things, and just so everyone is on the same train of thought here, but you started kind of advertising on local directories and went to like bigger websites, all very niche. Then when you moved, you started focusing more on SEO and advertising in Google in order to get more traction with your business. That worked. then submissions to awards and winning awards and nominations, which is amazing. And then when I see and I'm following you and you are traveling all over the world, you're like going from one country to another, shooting beautiful weddings. So can you tell a little bit more about that experience, how that happened?
You make it sound way cooler than this.
Wow, looking from outside, it is amazing.
To be honest, it's a big honor to get to cover someone's wedding somewhere like Hawaii or going for an engagement session in Sri Lanka. There is sometimes I close my eyes and I think it's like, oh my God, that really happened, and it did, and it's like, wow, I really got to go there and shoot this beautiful wedding in Hawaii, and a week later I had a second wedding in Hawaii. So it was like, how does the world collide for me to go and do this? And it's a little bit of, I would say, the energy goes around and it comes back to you. So in photography, you have to show what you want to shoot. I myself travel a lot. Well, not anymore, but I used to travel a lot on my own. And also because of cruise ships, I've been to Hawaii many times, and I had images of Hawaii or other places that I've been, like in the Caribbean. And when I started doing the first destination wedding that I did here in Canada was me just assisting a photographer because she knew I've been to Mexico a lot and I speak Spanish. So I assisted her. We had a great time in that wedding. Then she couldn't do a wedding in Mexico, so she sent me, because we already had the experience. She sent me, she knew I would do a good job. And the circle started. You know, you start showing those images. You start showing that you travel a lot and that you start showing that you shoot weddings abroad. And then slowly people start knowing that, okay, Barbara Rahal shoot destination weddings. I did not concentrate all my energy on that, but yes, on the winter months, I would push that I was traveling. And if I did not have a wedding somewhere else outside, I will show images of the travels and I will talk about it.
I love that. And that's something that I actually talk to people a lot. Is like if you do something and you don't show, people won't know and they will not think of you for that service.
Yeah.
So if you're shooting destination weddings and not publishing that, nobody will ever think about you.
No, nobody will know. And I think I wasn't promoting it as much as perhaps as I should, but I also had reasons why not be traveling as often. Now I want to travel less than before, only in the summer month. Oh, my sister just joined. Hi.
Hello.
But yes, definitely. For example, Hawaii is it's my favorite place in the world. So I will always be repeating and showing those images, because if I can go back, oh my God, yes, take me to Hawaii. I show you all the magic places. That's where I kind of started dating with Simon too, 15 years ago. So it's kind of a special place in my heart. When I met other brides through weddings that they were planning a wedding, and then they signed it, I was like, oh my God, we might do a destination wedding. And they knew I had done it. So the ball was rolling, and I was showing that a lot. If you look through my feed, I don't show a million of travels just because I don't want to travel anymore that much. But on the winter months, I start pushing it. It's like, yes, take me away.
Yes, and we were talking about this, how I mentioned that you also shoot winter weddings, although it's not as popular, especially in Vancouver, not as much. But Edmonton being like a winterland, there are some winter weddings happening. But you mentioned you also don't, you're not a big fan of winter and cold, so you don't love those as much.
I shouldn't say that because I'm in a winter town, in the winter city. They are beautiful, and they can be so cozy as well, because you run out and you do the pictures and you come back in. But I do suffer.
Yes.
-20. So I show a little bit of the winter weddings.
That's what I wanted to say. It's like you don't show as much. So it's like, oh, I do this. I do destination, I do winter. However, it's not my focus.
No, it's not my focus. I think they're really beautiful, and I would love to keep on shooting them, but 1 or 2 a month on the winter month, and not for like we do in a regular summer. Yeah, less people get married in the winter here. That's why I also push the destinations in the winter.
Yeah. And you told me a interesting story that you were shooting a wedding in Hawaii, and then it happened someone else was shooting and someone on Facebook recommended you. Like, can you tell that story again? Because I thought it was interesting how referrals can happen in an organic way.
Yeah, so I had shot a wedding in Hawaii the previous summer, and then I was going to Hawaii the next summer, July 2017, and someone knew a mom of a bride who was searching for a wedding photographer, and then she said to her, well, just Barb just was just in Hawaii. Why didn't you just message her? It looks like she goes there often. I don't go there that often, once a year, but because she saw this and then she had it fresh in her mind. And that same mom was posting on a Facebook group looking for a photographer in Hawaii for July 2017. And another person tagged me there. So it was like twice my name came out. So she decided to message me. I thank the person who tagged me on the Facebook, but she already had like 100 people replying. And I thank the person who tagged me, and I said, well, you already have lots of people here, but if you would like to talk to me, I would love to chat further. I am going exactly to Hawaii, to Maui, to Honolulu on July 2017. Perhaps the dates match, and I could be also for your daughter there. And it happened that their wedding was in Maui, the other wedding was in Honolulu, and they didn't have a specific date. I told them that my other wedding in Honolulu was July 11th, and they say, well, we can pick around that, and they kind of organized it, and
July 17.
it was perfect, and they picked it
Nice.
a week earlier, July 7th, 17. So it was 7/7/17. It was perfect. And I shot the wedding in Maui. I was there for a week, and then I flew to Honolulu to shoot the other wedding, who the bride I had met in Calgary. She lives in Australia, but I had met in Calgary. She was the maid of honor at another wedding. And she said to me, oh, whenever I get married, you're going to shoot my wedding. And then later on, 2 years, she was like, hey, I'm getting married in Hawaii.
I'm here.
I was like, well, I'm here. And I got to
That's
share
great.
engagement in Sri Lanka. So that was the other thing. So you see, it's like travelers meet travelers, and it happens. Magic happens.
Yes, that's all amazing. And part of the wedding photography world, it's all about referrals. And one thing that it's very good as well, of course, like you want to do an outstanding service, but we also talked about leaving a little gift, like as a thank you, a memento. I remember I visited your house ages ago, like 10 years ago, and you had these really beautiful bottles, like a glass bottle with a photo inside that was kind of folded. And if you think about it, it's like obviously you did think about it, but just sharing with people, that's something that you would have on your bookshelf or something on your living room that people would see. They would totally comment. Of course, it's a photo of the wedding. And it's just like, oh yeah, my photographer. So it's just like it's always a conversation starter. They always think of you, always remember of you and the wedding. So I thought that was brilliant. Can you share a little bit more about how you keep that relationship to keep the referrals coming as well, but keep that good relationship with your.
Somehow in Vancouver was that simple gift. It was just a bottle with a picture inside, and it was kind of set up nicely, which I hope people did enjoy, and I think people did. Or I will send them chocolates and a thank you card, or a Christmas card, or an anniversary card. Like, I was trying to stay on people's minds. In the beginning, I had no budget, so it was something very simple. Then slowly, when I moved to Edmonton, actually, I was gifting my brides a really beautiful, my logo is a skeleton key, an old key. And I have a friend in San Francisco who is from Chile, and he does jewelry. And he designed the same logo and the skeleton key with silver from Chile.
Wow.
So he designed those keys, and I went to San Francisco to see him and oversee how he was doing them. And I did chokers. I bought the leather, and I did chokers for those brides 2 years in a row here in Edmonton. Then he raised the price so much that I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. So I started looking for other gifts for my brides. It's very funny.
Oh, but I love the idea of using your logo and making something custom made and so special. That's beautiful.
Yeah, something, it doesn't have to be too much, but something that people will, see that you appreciate that they invested in you. And I really appreciate my clients. It's not that hard. Right now for COVID, I have a little care package that I haven't sent out yet. And I'm not going to show, well, I'm just going to show the box.
Ooh.
That I need to give to my couples, because I want them to know that I know they're going through a hard time, and it's a little bit of a funny box. So I want them to enjoy a laugh, and a little bit of something. I'm not going to say what it is because somebody might watch.
They may be watching. Okay.
But you know, they are going to think, oh my God, that was nice. It's something little. It doesn't have to be too much. And then people will be talking about you. People will be saying, hey, who gifted you? Oh my God. Or they're enjoying whatever I send them. And it's like, yeah, my photographer. There are some years that I haven't done it because I've been busy. And then I do notice, the difference on maybe people less chatting with me, or, the referrals
You
of,
definitely, yeah, you definitely stay top of mind. And it's funny with little things. Even we get mail every year from our mortgage broker, and Greg is always amazed by it because he sends gifts. It's like it's been years since we bought our place, and he sends like lottery tickets every Christmas.
hey, that's a
And
great gift.
it's just, yeah, it's a nice touch. Imagine if we win one day. We will upgrade the house.
I have to add on the card. If you win, you have to give me 5%.
Yeah, at the commission. Yeah, but I love this idea, sending direct mail, just sending something nice and that people can remember you in the future, especially. Of course, anything is nice, like chocolate, that's great, but even having something that will live through life, like it's really great. So yeah,
I
that's
do
awesome.
prints too. I used to send my 5 favorite prints from their engagement session or from the wedding date. It just, if it's 5 by 7 cards, they just put them somewhere in the house, and then they think, oh yeah,
Yes.
those are nice. And then people come and see them. Sometimes people don't print their prints, and it's kind of sad. Print your pictures. Um, don't leave them die in a hard drive.
I know. I do print. I told you this, but my father is a photographer, so I grew up with lots of photos and we always print. And even like through digital age, it's hard to remind ourselves to do it, but I try to because I know like every time we change our phones, pretty much all those photos are gone and we don't see them again.
Yeah.
So I like to keep them for sure.
Even me as a photographer, I have to confess, I'm terrible. And Simon and I have not had photos taken since we moved to Edmonton. We did a little session in Walmart for fun. And
Walmart? Did I hear it right?
yeah, and it's not bad actually. And we just needed quick pictures. And I have to do a shout out. I recently plain print our photos. We did a session with Jill Corson here in Edmonton. Hi, Jill. You're not looking, but I'm going to send you this. And we printed our pictures. I did a little album, and I love it. I love it. And Simon didn't know I was printing it, and he saw it. He's like, oh, this is cute. Well, I look so good here. It's like, you do need to print your pictures and watch those memories. And I'm going to do this once a year. I'm going to have a session with him because we're getting old, we're getting chubby, we get to see how it's changing and how our life together evolves, It's
Yes.
nice. Yeah, I'm pretty happy we did it, and it validates what I think people need to print their pictures even more.
Yes, I completely agree. And one thing that we didn't talk about from all these strategies you've done, I love how you've done a little bit of everything, and that's what I believe. I don't think anyone should spend 100% of their time and efforts on one media. Like a lot of people are focusing too much on Instagram, I find, and forget about everything else. So I love how you've done it all. And one thing that we didn't talk yet is about fairs, like participating on wedding fairs and events.
Yes, so I started doing the wedding shows here in Alberta. I really wanted to do the wedding fair in Vancouver before I left. but it was really, really, really expensive for me back then. Although I was already getting like well known in the industry, or not well known, but getting a little bit of a name out. I had to leave. I was saving the money for it, but I had to leave. So after 2 years in Edmonton, I invested in the bridal fantasy show here, and it was super exciting. It was a great investment. It was a big investment, but I knew I wanted to have a different booth. I'm a little bit quirky, so I wanted to add that into my booth. And I went to the show 2 years before I joined, and I started seeing, okay, what are people doing? And I was like, oh, I want to have something completely different. And I painted a black booth. I had a checkbook booth, and I printed big pictures. Everybody was having beautiful booths, but with little pictures. So I decided, oh, I'm just gonna go different, and I did something fun. Like, I think I'm a bubbly person and fun, so I did something that people will want to go and be attracted. I'm like, oh wow! And that year was super good, and I was like, oh my god, the show did work. Then I did it the next year, and it didn't work that much. But I had not changed my booth. I hadn't changed my strategy. So I realized, okay, I need to do something. And I started giving little gifts to the brides of the following show. So every time you learn something about the marketing, and the wedding shows truly, I mean, they work for certain type of couples and for certain type of vendors. Not everybody wants the bride that goes to the bridal show. So, and that's understandable. Once you know your market, right now I'm deciding to kind of downsize on the wedding sizes, and I'm trying to go for smaller, more intimate weddings, not the bigger weddings, but I'm still gonna try to do the bridal show and just cater to those brides, because sometimes they do go. I enjoy very much doing the shows, to be honest, to talk to people, although people get very intimidated. Because it's overwhelming. There's so much going on.
I bet.
Yeah, I do enjoy them. They're fun. So trying to,
Yeah.
now I need to strategize for the next kind of client that I'm trying to target.
Nice. So every year you do a different booth? Because I've seen before on your stories that you do macrame yourself and you make these beautiful arrangements and flower arrangements. Yeah, oh, it's gorgeous. So yeah, for those who don't know, this very talented lady also makes macrame and hey, how do you call it? Plant hangers. You're so creative. Oh, you made a hat the other day. You're just so creative. I wish I had that talent.
There's my felt hat.
That's amazing.
It's still stiffening, so.
You even have a professional mannequin head.
Well, you're gonna laugh. This head is where I used to practice flash with.
Oh.
I really wanted to master flash, and I needed to learn how the shadows fall. So I have this. It's so funny.
That is very funny.
Yeah.
I'm glad you found another usage for it.
This is my hat. So yeah, what were we talking about the show? The marketing and the strategizing, and then
Yeah, have you ever invested in something that you had to spend a lot of money on, like shows, for example, you mentioned is expensive, and that you invested and it did not give you any return, like it didn't pay off itself?
Yeah. I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but print advertising doesn't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
It looked really cool, and I was very excited of having in a magazine a printed advertising, and it just didn't work for me. It looked beautiful, but I found after 2 years of investing in a magazine for advertising, it was like, no. So I put that money into other things, because I do have a budget for advertising. It's not huge, but I find that if you have to be on people's eyes and on people's ears, there is advertising for different markets. You will find whatever client you're looking for will find you if you know where to go and poke and show that you are there. Be Facebook advertising, be Craigslist advertising. You can find the right client for you if you know where to find it. And if you don't know where to find it, it's because perhaps you don't know who your client is. So you need
Yes,
to,
that's a great tip. Yeah, you need to dig deeper into your audience.
yeah, it took
Yes,
me
I love that.
forever to really find who my client was. And obviously I still attract other kind of people because it's going to happen, but you will find those few in between, and it's wonderful when it happens.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Um, so getting everything we talked so far, I feel like your business grew very organically, like on a very nice way, touching all fronts. And let's talk about Instagram, which I know a lot of people, like everybody wants to know how to get to 10K and be able to say, swipe up for more.
Well, funny. Well, now I don't have 10K because, well, I'm gonna say why. I was telling you the other day. So Instagram, it's been rather crazy ride. I had Instagram since 2011, since Instagram started. Uh, you can actually dig back, and you're going to see a lot of crap. Excuse my language. But I don't mind that. People don't go that far back. Now I could archive it, I guess. So I started trying everything on Instagram, but I wasn't very organized on Instagram at first. It wasn't really my channel, so I didn't pay as much attention as as other people. But then when I started realizing what of an incredible tool is, and seeing friends going and growing really exponentially and getting lots of clients from Instagram, I thought, well, I have to put a little bit more effort into it. So I did a bunch of courses. I did a course with Jenna Kutcher, who is an Instagram incredible person.
That's amazing. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, I follow her. She's great.
yeah, she's fantastic. So I did her Instagram lab, and with that, I learned a ton. Although I didn't follow her recipe to the T, I learned it a lot, and I did follow, but not like 100%. Then I got to meet Jenna in a conference in Toronto. I didn't get to talk to her too much, but we shared a little bit, and that was really, really fun. It's like, oh my God, I do your courses. I love your courses. And I got to touch her and chat with her. That was incredible. Then I was also following Jasmine Star. I'm sure.
Yes, I follow her as well.
She used to be a wedding photographer, and now she's an educator. And not only to wedding photographers, to business in general. And she has this social curator thing that it helps people also with their Instagram. Me as being as a Spanish speaking person, sometimes I am not as fast to type my thoughts or to put my thoughts in into my captions. So with her, I also learned a little bit about how to do it. She has captions ready. I don't use those, but they gave me ideas. And slowly I started realizing that you have to be a little bit more of yourself, and you have to be vulnerable and talk about your life and everything. But I'm a little bit shy, and I don't want to be talking, although I'm not shy. I'm a little bit shy on the Instagram thing. I don't want to be talking too much of my private life, but I started adding a little bit. And also I started learning about the hashtags, and that's when things were changing. I started adding a bunch of hashtags. I started going to those hashtags and talking to people. I spend an hour in the morning, an hour in the afternoon, and an hour in the evening talking to people, trying to find, people that I like their images, not photographers, people that were having also accounts open. And I will just comment, oh my God, that's beautiful, beautiful dress, little things. But I will be there for an hour. Or if I post it, I will be there for an hour. And whoever liked it, my photo, because in the beginning I didn't get many engagements on comments, and sometimes I don't. People don't comment that easy. Sometimes, but I will, if someone liked it, my photo, I will go and like back their images. I will go back and chat a little bit, Now you can send messages. I don't do that as often, but people, after I comment or 2 or 3 pictures, then they will decide, okay, I'm going to follow her. You have to be honest, and you have to be also open. It's not, people are going to come and like everything, but you have to be proactive. You also have to go to their accounts and be honest with them.
Which is so bizarre. I actually, yes, we started conversations, then we met in person, and then it's like, oh, like, can we be friends now?
Yeah, and I have met people on other places. I met a girl in Hawaii. We were like friends, and then when I went to Hawaii, we did a shoot together. It's just like, you never know who's on the other side, and you can have your best friend in China for all we know, you know. And through hashtags, I started discovering more. People were discovering me. Also tagging, I was learning that other photographers were tagging accounts. So I started looking for which accounts I wanted to be tagging in case they wanted to feature my images. And every time my image was being shared on one of these big features accounts, then I will gain followers. Obviously, not all the followers are always real. You get lots of robots. And that's when it comes the fact that right now I'm slowly deleting people because you can tell. So every day, well, not every day, but every second day I go and check, and I kind of see, oh yeah, this is completely not real. So I've been deleting. That's why from 10K now it's low. But
Yeah, I think it's very funny how people like their dream is to get to 10K. Trust me, I talk to a lot of small business owners. Everyone like their dream is to get to 10K. And you are like, no, I'll delete. This is a bot. It's
yeah,
like,
because to be honest, even if you have a small following, like on my macrame account, I only have 200 and a little bit followers, but they are genuine people, and they are
yes.
people that stays with you. And if you chat with them, I'm not saying that my 9,000 followers are not genuine people. They are, but because they follow perhaps so many people, they get lost. So then people don't start engaging with you. And I
Yes.
haven't been at all very much on my photography account lately, and I can see as well how people are leaving me because I haven't been engaged with all this COVID thing. I also have been very working into myself and a little bit of self-care, and I don't worry that people are leaving. It's okay. The few that are there are, engaging with me, and instead of having conversations with me on the feed, we have the conversations on the chat, and I don't mind. It's fun. The other day someone messaged me. It's like, oh my god, I saw you on Canadian Tire, and I was like, what? Who are you? And she's like,
That's funny.
I saw you on
I
Canadian, blah blah blah. And I was like,
I've seen people that I follow and I've seen in like restaurants and things. And it's funny because at first sight, I look like, oh, I'm going to say hi. And it's like, oh, wait a second. I don't know this person.
yeah, it's just hi. And I told her, why didn't you say hi? She's like, oh, I was shy. So it's like,
Yeah.
you never know who's there. But because we have chatted in between comments, she was feeling like, oh my God, maybe I say hi or no. So it's like, just be genuine and talk with those people. No matter if it's 20 followers, just keep at it and be mindful and conscious that you have to go to their feeds as well and do a little bit of the same work that you want them to do on your feed, do it on their feed so they feel
It's a two-way street.
it's a two-way street. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting how relaxed you are talking about this, like not caring as much. We hear a lot about social media anxiety, like people get really anxious and really personal about things when someone unfollows them or something, or like, oh my God, I lost 10 followers today, or even like one follower, oh my God, it's the end of the world. People are very sensitive, and you seem very relaxed about it. Have you always been like this, or was this a process that you now learn how to manage better?
I think it's been a little bit of a process. Of course, sometimes I was like, oh my God, why no one is talking to me? Whoa. But to be honest, people don't sign up for that to talk to everyone who they follow on Instagram. And I started also realizing that I have to have a schedule. I don't do my 3 hours a day on Instagram anymore. I am a little bit more conscious. I'm not being on Instagram at all much.
Hello?
Phone call, so
Uh,
it kind of interrupted.
oh, yes, no worries. I can hear you now.
So yeah, I have a bit of those moments, but I realized that it's just another channel, it's just another tool, and I cannot let that, kind of stress me. It's just another channel, and I do it because I want to. I do it because I want to be chatting with people and showing my work, and I follow certain guides that I have learned that help me. But I don't stress because my friends don't like my photos. My friends are my friends. They don't need to like my photos. It's fine. They're not my client. I want other people to find me. A lot of people get mad because their family don't like their photos. It's like, it doesn't matter. They didn't sign up for that. They're your family. They love you, but maybe they don't understand what you do, you know?
Uh-huh.
Yes, I wish
Definitely.
everyone
Love
would
that.
love me and like my picture. Sometimes I actually go and tell my friends, but you have to share, you have to like. And then I realize, no, they don't have to, you know. But it's just because if someone shares, if someone likes, that's how the algorithm works. If a friend likes a picture, then their friends know that maybe they like my pictures, and if they comment and tag, and that's how it goes. And yes, you wish more people would do that, but it doesn't have to be a stressful process.
I love that. I feel most of us need to hear that and just take it lighter, don't stress too much over it, and just roll with the flow a bit.
Yeah, it's fun.
Um, Yeah, it should be fun. Like we should have fun with it for sure.
Yeah.
And in terms of planning your content, someone asked a question a while ago, but I knew we were going to get to this point, so I waited. Do you plan your content on Instagram? Like, do you plan ahead? Do you use any tools to help you, like, to schedule and post things, or do you just post as you wish?
So I have done both. I've been a very all over the map, and then I was planning by color, and then I was planning by what to say. And I do have a little bit of a schedule, but it's not a set schedule. I use Unum. I don't know if you know, it's just like Planoly. It's just one of those apps that shows you how the grid is going to be looking. But I don't follow it religiously. I just use it to see how the grid is going to look. I have tried to go from certain style of images and certain style of captions to see how the feed flows. And I think finally it kind of looked balanced, but it took me a while. The green, and then I'm actually a warm photographer, so I was in the warm. So yes, I use Unum to plan the colors and the way it looks. I use my notes um, to type my captions and then do copy paste. Although now you can also use the computer, which I love because then you don't have to be on your phone. I had deleted, I don't have Facebook or Messenger on my phone. I had deleted Instagram from my phone. But because I really enjoy doing the stories, I added it back. And yes, I do have like a little bit of a system to help me stay kind of on track, but I don't stress about it either. I know it helps me, but it's not like a set guideline. Some people need more. I need a routine, but I don't need to follow it to the T.
Do you have kind of a consistency of like, let's say, 3 posts per week or something that you try to follow or not quite?
No, not quiet. I used to try to post every single day because it's good to be showing up. But now I don't really stress about it. If you actually look, I haven't posted in a while, and I should, but I'm just not really worried too much about it now for weddings with all what's going on. I'm happy with how the year is going, and now with all the rescheduling. So I'm focusing my energy on my stories and not on the feed.
Okay, that was great. We do have a 20-second countdown that our live is in the end
Oh,
already.
thank you. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being here.
That flew
Bye.
by. Thank you so